Okay, am I in focus? Oh my god. Am I in focus? Can you see me? Am I in focus now? I was in fact out of focus. Am I in focus now? Hi, how's it going? How are you? How's your mom? Is your cat better? Heard she was ill. This is a big one, folks. This is a big one. I need a drum roll, please. We don't have a budget for that? Okay, cool. Hello everybody and welcome to the first ever ConnorFranta Film Club. Thank you so much. Thank you. I love you, bitch. I love you, bitch. Is this recording? Thank God. Is the audio? Thank God. It's the weekend. There's no time for drama. I don't think I often talk about this online, but one of the things that I have forever enjoyed, and it makes total sense considering I'm filming this on a camera. I love film. I love films. I love movies. I love going to the movies. I love the movie experience. I like making movies, obviously. Like little big ones. Actually, fun fact, I used to collect movie tickets for the longest time. Every single movie I went to, I would save the movie tickets. To this day, I still go to like at least a movie a week, if not 2 to 3 movies a week. That is the one thing I will forever splurge on, is going to the movies versus renting a film or buying a film. I would, 100 times more want to see that film in a theater setting. It doesn't matter if like the seats have holes in them or like if people behind you are making out and kicking your seat. I just love the movies, popcorn, the lights, camera, action. It's wonderful. Today I want to talk to you guys about 5 films I've seen this year in 2017 that I think you should see, that I absolutely adored and loved for many reasons specific to each film. So I'm going to tell you those movies today and explain why I like them. In no particular order. Actually, I feel like this is in the order from the last one I saw to the first one I saw. Whatever, doesn't matter. Number 1, Logan Lucky. It was directed by Steven Soderbergh. It stars Channing Tatum, Adam Driver, and Kate Holmes. This movie just came out really recently. It's still in theaters right now, and I had heard nothing about this film. One of my friends told me that they didn't do much marketing for it. I think they were hoping to save budget on it that way or something, and it didn't work because I think it flopped, but it's amazing. This movie takes place in Middle America, so it kind of has a very nostalgic factor to it for me as someone who grew up in Minnesota. I'm gonna try my best on this to describe it accurately without giving away spoilers, which might be hard for me, so I'm sorry. The whole movie revolves around Channing Tatum and his family, and they're living very normal, average lives in Middle America, and eventually it turns into a crime drama thriller, and yet still manages to be a comedy, because very quickly the way that Channing Tatum is going to get money is by committing a robbery at a very famous NASCAR race. That's all I'll say. I was really impressed with how natural the dialogue was and how many subtle jokes were thrown in there. Like, the acting was so phenomenal that there were so many different things that people did with their body language that I don't know if it was meant to be funny, but it was hilarious. It comes across as a very simple film, but towards the end, you realize how intelligent it's getting. There are several really big plot twists that I didn't expect to happen after even like halfway through the movie. I thought I had already figured out what the movie was, but it kept changing and it kept getting more and more well thought out and intense. I highly recommend it. It was a very, very fun film to see. Plus I saw it in a really tiny theater and the movie only cost like $5 to see. And the popcorn was like $3. Brilliant, revolutionary. The next film is called A Ghost Story. I have a feeling that like 99% of you have no idea this movie even came out. I believe it was a Sundance film, if not just a very small artsy film house film. A Ghost Story was directed by David Lowery, and it stars Casey Affleck and Rooney Mara. This film was very, very low budget. I have a feeling a lot of people didn't see it because I don't think it was released nationwide, but since I live in Los Angeles, they had it at several theaters for a couple tiny showings. This was the most unique movie on my list of movies. It might be the most unique movie I've seen in years. It follows this couple through their life in a small house in, I think, the Midwest, and very soon into the film, one of them dies and returns as a sheet ghost. Like the ghosts you see in cartoons, a white sheet with 2 holes for eyes. So when I saw the trailer, I was like, this could be really, really funny or really, really creepy. Because when the person comes back as a sheet ghost, for all intents and purposes, they are a real ghost. That's just the aesthetics that the director wanted to give the ghost. So no one can see them, they're a real ghost, but to the audience, it's a person in a sheet. So once you get over the fact that that's a little bit funny, it just blows my mind. It had to have been filmed on real film because the actual visuals and aesthetics of the film were so stunning. It's also cropped, so it's not a full wide length film. It's cropped into like a square, which I thought was gonna get annoying, but I quickly forgot that I was watching this tiny square on this big screen. But yeah, there really isn't much dialogue. It's a lot of long scenes with little cuts. And I don't know, the acting is just so wonderful. They have such a weird twist on time, almost like an Interstellar type film where they play with time and space. I 100% recommend that film if you enjoy small indie art house films. The next one is called Baby Driver. Baby Driver is a thriller crime film directed by Edgar Wright. It stars Ansel Elgort, John Hamm, Kevin Spacey, and Jamie Foxx, and many more. It was just full of amazing talent. I feel like a lot of you have probably seen this one, but it was one of my favorite films this year so far. The film is loosely about a young boy who drives a getaway car for a bunch of bank robberies. Acting, directing, the script, everything about it was really, really well done. One of my favorite parts about this film is that the scenes and the acting are all in time with music, because you quickly find out that the main character uses music in his everyday life. He's always listening to music, and he especially listens to music when he's robbing banks. So they do this very smart thing where he puts in his headphones and then the soundtrack comes on for all of you to hear, but that's like the soundtrack he's actually listening to and driving to. I don't know, it's a really interesting twist. I've never seen anyone really necessarily do it specifically that way in a film, but oh my god, this movie was so great. I was so impressed with Ansel. Is it Ansel or Ansel? I think it's I was really impressed. He did such an amazing job. The tone in the movie kept changing from like a thriller drama to sometimes being comedic. There are actually a lot of very funny moments in it, but overall it kept its intensity throughout the entire film, which is really rare, to be honest. There were really no dull points in this movie. I was at the edge of my seat for like the entire film. There's also this very beautiful opening shot to the film. It's this really long uncut shot that goes on for almost like 5 minutes, and they're following Ansel through the streets. But yeah, if you like kind of fast cars and guns and action, this is a film you need to see. It's one of those films that I wanted to see again immediately after I was done seeing it because it managed to get me so hyped just so damn quickly. Next, we have one that I'm sure so many of you saw or at least heard of, and that is Get Out. Get Out's a thriller horror film directed by Jordan Peele. It stars, I am going to butcher his last name, Daniel Kaluuya. Oh my god, did I just say koala? Daniel Kaluuya, Allison William, and Little Ray Howery. I just butchered everyone's name. Yay, go me. This was a film that came out at the very beginning of the year, and I got to see it before it was out, and then it was so good that I had to see it again a couple days later. I love horror films. Horror films have always been one of my few guilty pleasures. I could watch a horror film every night and just be so happy. There are horror films that are genuinely scary that I really enjoy, kind of that adrenaline rush. And there are also horror films that are so just horrible that they become a comedy in a way, and I love that. I would 100% watch a 3-star horror film over like a 7-star comedy. There's something about 3-star horror films that just, they're so funny. They're so good. But anyways, Get Out was, again, one of the more interesting films I've ever seen. I had no idea what to expect for this. I thought they could go many routes. And the whole film in the trailer was presented that this white girl was going to bring her black boyfriend home to her white family in, again, I think middle America, maybe? But either way, it's presented in the film as if the boyfriend is anxious about the situation, and the girlfriend is like, there's obviously no problem. My parents will love you. My parents love everybody. But of course, you know, shit is gonna go down because that's how the film opens. I just thought there were so many ways that this film could go wrong, or that it just could follow so many traditional film routes that have done a similar type plot. It's very much an intense thriller film with many comedic moments. The best friend in the film, Little Ray Howery, he adds so much comic relief to the film. He had me in the entire crowd, both times I saw it, in absolute stitches. In absolute stitches, Shawn Mendes, is that you? If you know nothing about this film, go into it that way. Go watch it right now before you find out anything, because I went into it without knowing what I was seeing, and I was just shocked time and time again how intelligent this plot line was with such a simple premise. And that's how I can describe it without giving anything away. God damn, it was good. Ugh. Okay, I've been talking for probably like a year, but the final film that I want to talk about is called Split. Split is also a thriller horror film. This film was directed by M. Night Shyamalan, and it stars James McAvoy and a few other people that I forgot to write down. They were also great. I think this film was a little bit controversial because the whole premise of it is that James McAvoy's character has 23 different personalities, and one of his personalities ends up going rogue and kidnaps 3 girls. So the controversy around this film was that it was shedding a negative light on a mental illness, which obviously I'm not for that. But in my opinion, the way the film was actually presented was very fictional. It's very, very extreme in every sense of the word. So I didn't necessarily have a problem with it, but I definitely can understand why people are sensitive to that issue. So I'm just gonna look at it from the point of view of someone who enjoyed the film, because the actual film itself doesn't say anything offensive. Okay, I'm gonna stop defending myself. I love this film. I think it technically came out in 2016, but it wasn't released in America until 2017, perhaps. This movie was so, like the other ones, smart. I guess we see a trend here. I'm just really into smart films. James McAvoy was Oscar worthy for this film because, again, he plays a person with 23 different personalities and he acts out all of those personalities. Well, I don't know if necessarily all 23 are shown in the film, I can't remember, but he plays so many different characters in the film and does it so well, to the point where each character is a very different type of person, and he's like contorting his body and completely changing his body language for every character of all ages and all backgrounds, and it's just so believable. One of the characters he plays is like a young child, and he really convinces me that he is a young child. It was amazing. I was really, after that point, I really was so impressed with his acting. This movie really manages to be interesting while also just being terrifying. The filming is beautiful. It's very dark and dreary and sulky because, again, he kidnaps these girls, so it's all taking place like in this underground house type situation. If you like great acting and you like to be kind of nervous and scared for a solid 2 hours, then you'll really, really enjoy this film. Okay, that's it, I think. That was the first ever ConnorFranta Film Club. I have a couple questions for you guys. One, what are your top 5 favorite films that you've seen this year? There are so many more. I mean, there was Beauty and the Beast, Spider-Man, Detroit, Big Sick, Dunkirk, so many more that I could have talked about. So let me know that in the comments down below. And number 2, let me know if you enjoyed this. I really love talking about things like film and music and fashion, and I rarely do it as an entire video because I'm really afraid that it's gonna be boring to you guys. Oh my god, I'm dying. I just plugged the memory card into my computer and it showed that I didn't record everything, but it didn't show when it cut off, and I just checked and it only cut off right at the very end. Thank God. Oh my god, if I would have had to refilm this whole thing. That's why this angle changed. Oh my god, I'm so happy. Okay, that's it. I don't know what didn't record, but that's it. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I love you, and I will see you next week for a big announcement, actually. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to big thumbs up, leave a comment below.